वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन, यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन, यमुनातीर वनचारी, यमुनातीर वनचारी, यमुनातीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपाद की जय हो। Today we are doing the shloka from the chapter 87, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। श्री परीक्षिदुवाच ब्रह्मण ब्रह्मण्य निर्देशे निर्गुणे गुणवृत्तयः कथं चरन्ति श्रुतयः साक्षात् असतः परे। Sri Parikshit said, O Brahmana, how can the Vedas directly describe the supreme absolute truth, who cannot be described in words? The Vedas are limited to describing the qualities of material nature. But the Supreme is devoid of these qualities, being transcendental to all material manifestation and their causes. बुद्धि इंद्रिय मन श्रीशुक उवाच बुद्धि इंद्रिय मन प्राणान् जनानाम सृजत प्रभुः मात्रार्थं च भवार्थं च आत्मने कल्पनाय च। Sukadeva Goswami says, the Supreme Lord manifested the material intelligence, senses, mind, and vital layer of the living entities so that they could indulge their desire for sense gratification, take repeated birth to engage in fruitive activities, become elevated in fruitive lives, and ultimately attain liberation. तेषाम् उपनिषद ब्राह्मी पूर्वेषां पूर्वजे धृता श्रद्धया धारयेद्यस्तां क्षेमं गच्छेद किञ्चनः. Those who came before even our ancient predecessors meditated upon this same confidential knowledge of the absolute truth. Indeed, anyone who faithfully concentrates on this knowledge will become free from material attachment and attain the final goal of life. अत्र ते वर्णयिष्यामि गाथां नारायणान्वितां नारदस्य च संवादं ऋषिनारायणस्य च. In this connection, I will relate to you a narrating concerning the Supreme Lord Narayana. It is about a conversation that once occurred between Sri Narayan Rishi and Narad Muni. एकदा नारदो लोकान् पर्यटन् भगवत्प्रियः सनातनं ऋषिं द्रष्टुं ययां नारायणाश्रमम्. Once, while traveling among the various planets of the universe, the Lord's beloved devotee Narada went to visit the venerable sage Narayan at his ashram. यो वे भारतवर्षेऽस्मिन् क्षेमाय स्वस्थये नृणां धर्मज्ञानसमुपेतम् आकल्पादास्थितस्तपः. From the very beginning of Brahma's day, Lord Narayan Rishi has been undergoing austere penances in this land of Bharata while perfectly performing religious duties and exemplifying spiritual knowledge and self-control, all for the benefit of human beings in both this world and the next. तत्रोपविष्टं ऋषिभिः कलापग्रामवासिभिः परितं प्रणतो पृच्छेत् idam eva kurudvaha. There Narada approached Lord Narayan Rishi, who was sitting amidst sages of the village of Kalapa. After bowing down to the Lord, O hero of the Kurus, Narada asked him the very same question you have asked me. Tasme yavachod Bhagavan ऋषीणां शृण्वतामिदं यो ब्रह्मवादपूर्वेषां जनलोकनिवासिनाम्. At the sages listened, Lord Narayana Rishi related to Narada an ancient discussions about the absolute truth that took place among the residents of Janaloka. श्रीभगवानुवाच स्वयंभूब्रह्मसत्रं जनलोके भवत्पुरा तत्स्थानां मानसानां मुनीनामूर्ध्वरेतसाम्. The personality of Godhead said, O son of self-born Brahma, once long ago on Janaloka, wise sages who reside there perform a great sacrifice to the absolute truth by vibrating transcendental sounds. These sages, mental sons of Brahma, were all perfect celibates. श्वेतद्वीपं गतवती त्वयि दृष्टुं तदीश्वरम् ब्रह्मवादसु संवृत्तः श्रुतयो यत्र शेरते तत्र यामभूत प्रश्नस्त्वं मां यमनुपृच्छसि. At that time you happened to be visiting the lords on Svetadip, that supreme lord in whom the Vedas lies down to rest during the period of universal annihilation. A lively discussion arose among the sages on Janaloka as to nature of the supreme absolute truth. Indeed, the same question arose then that you are asking me now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, I Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. Thank you, Prabhuji, for so wonderful seva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji, you are on mute,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Char Prabhuji.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Nice to see all of you again. And thank you, Raksha Mataji, for nice prayers. And this verse is a very, very important verses. Particularly today, we'll be discussing about verse 2. The lesson 128 we did last week. some portion of it we are going to repeat today, okay, for a reason that I'll explain. First, let's offer our prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान् पितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखावितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Jai Shri Prabhu. So now we offer prayers to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः। O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are freely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. कृष्ण वर्णम त्रिषा कृष्णम सांगोपांगोस्त्रपार्षदम यज्ञ संकीर्तन प्रायेर यजंती सुमेधसः. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnai Kanipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanama Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanya Karau राधा कृष्ण पदारविंद भजना आनंदेन मत्तालिकौ वंदे रूप सनातन रघुयुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ. I offer my obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयत् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री प्रभु जय श्री प्रभु गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम भजामि हरे कृष्ण. Who is going to do the recap?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Chandra, yes.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, thank you, Raksha Mataji, for the wonderful recitation of the first 10 shlokas. And so this particular chapter, 87, is a very, very elaborate chapter. I don't actually qualify to do the recap for this, but I'll still take it up as a saver. Please forgive me if I go wrong. So, in the last class, we did lesson 128, and this is the first lesson of chapter 87. Chapter 87 are the prayers of the personified Vedas. It is a very deep chapter. In this whole chapter, Prabhuji has taken 6 lessons for this whole chapter. So in the last class, we did the first lesson, that is 128. On the first slide here, we can see the different chapters which will be covering these 50 verses. The whole chapter comprises of 50 verses. So the first 13 verses were covered in the last chapter, which describes the nature of the absolute truth, and and it is described in the Vedas. So role of the Vedas is uh, how it is important to describe the nature of the absolute truth. So this was covered in lesson 128. Then on this slide, we can see an overview what will be covered in uh, the other lessons till lesson 133. So in lesson 129, we will see the understanding of Krishna, his creation, and about his devotion. So basically, we'll learn about the supreme reality in this in the next coming chapter, coming lesson 129, followed by 130, which is understanding Krishna, his nature, and how what is his relationship with the Jiva Tattva, and how this relationship can be transformed or can be made strong with the power of bhakti. In lesson 131, we will see the nature of Lord Krishna and the path of devotion, that is Bhakti Marg. And in 132, we will see the essence of bhakti and the nature of a soul. And in the end is lesson 133, wherein we will understand the two worlds, the material world and the spiritual world. And the final conclusion is that only bhakti is the way to attain the supreme personality of Godhead, that is to reach the supreme truth, supreme absolute truth. So let us start off with the last lesson, which is 128. Now here, basically, these are prayers. Prayers of what? Uh, Vedas. Vedas are praying. Vedas are personified and they are praying, they are glorifying. The Lord has two aspects. One is a personal aspect, one is an impersonal aspect. So Vedas are glorifying both these aspects of the Supreme Truth of Lord Narayana, his personal aspect as well as his impersonal aspect. So now Parikshit Maharaj is asking a very, very important question to Sukhdev Goswami ji. And he is saying that Vedas are basically, they deal with the material world and they are governed by the 3 modes of material nature. Whereas the supreme truth, that is Brahman, is all transcendental. It is beyond the 3 modes of material nature. So how can Vedas describe the supreme truth, which is because they are material. They are governed by the three modes of material nature. How is this? So how is this possible? So this is Parikshit Maharaj's question to Sukdev Goswami. See, this is a very profound question. So now Sukdev Goswami is telling to he's answering Parikshit Maharaj. He is saying that this question that you are asking to me has been asked before also. So in the past, Narad Muni has asked this question to Narayan Rishi in at Badrikashrama. So once upon a time, as Mataji also was reciting in the shlokas, this particular thing is covered in these 10 shlokas, that Narad Muni went to Badrikashrama and there he saw Narayana Rishi. He was surrounded by uh, the seekers, and they were basically the residents of the village Kalapa over there. And Narad Muni paid his obeisances to Narayana Rishi, and he asked him the same question that you are asking me. So in reply, Narayan Rishi told to Narad Muni that long back in Janaloka, the same question was being discussed by the sages too. And this particular discussion was happening among the sages, wherein they were questioning who? The Sanandana Kumara. They were asking about the nature of the absolute truth to Sananda Kumara in Janaloka. So Sananda Kumara said that, these are, he told them that Vedas basically describe the absolute truth because they are the emanations of from the breathing of the Lord. Vedas come from the breathing of the Lord. They are transcendental. Hence, they describe the supreme truth. And he told that Vedas recited a prayer in the glorification of the Lord, and Sananda Kumara recited these same prayers to the sages over there in Janaloka, who then became very satisfied after listening to these prayers from these Vedas. So because these prayers, they enlighten about the nature of the supreme truth, and that is the reason that they play a very important role to understand the Brahman, that is the supreme absolute truth. And there the sages in Janaloka were very grateful to Sanandana Kumara, and they worshipped him. So this same truth Narayan Rishi told to Narad Muni. He also was satisfied by the answer, and then he came to his disciple, who is Vyasadeva, and whatever he was instructed by Narayana Rishi, Narad Muni told to Vyasadeva. So this is basically the backdrop of this particular lesson. So now let us come to the important points, the thematic elements. First, we will see the introduction. That is, in the introduction, we'll see the nature of the Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, and the role of the Vedas. So my question is, can anyone give the points, like in these 13 verses, what are the important points that are discussed, that will be discussed? It is there on the screen. In short, if can anybody describe that?
Mataji, the question is, we need to understand very basically the Parikshit Maharaj objection. On what basis he said that is impossible by Vedas to describe the supreme Brahman, which is beyond material modes. It's totally transcendental. So that question by Parikshit Maharaj is very intelligent questions that we need to understand. Why did he ask? How did he ask? And how Parikshit Maharaj is going to explain. And we are going to redo it, part of it today, again, repeat it, But this is, Mataji is really doing a fantastic job. It is not an easy lesson to do it, So continue, Mataji. The main question is, let's make sure that everybody understood the objection that Parikshit Maharaj is raising to Sukdev Prabhuji, Sukdev Goswami.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So I Charu Prabhu said that this will be repeated few times. It's a really
Yeah.
a very difficult subject, but it's the same time we should also understand how come Vedas normally deal with three modes of material nature. They can describe things which are beyond that, right? So
Did you
is
guys,
that
excuse
again?
me, did
And
you guys watch that video I sent you that?
yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
Yes,
good.
Prabhuji, even I
Yeah,
did.
Because I
yeah,
explained that
Even
thing very clearly, and that video was made some 9 years back, you know.
yeah. So yeah, so basically thing is that which is Vedas are the transcendent, the absolute truth, undescribable. Different
Yeah.
categories are given. You cannot have doesn't have quality, doesn't have class. There are three, four categories are given by any one of them. You can't describe because absolute. Some people believe it is formless. It is all those things are there. So what is that? How it can be described. So that is what indescribable Veda, indescribable absolute truth. Can Vedas have authority to describe? I think that is what, let's put it another way
Mm.
to put on that. Then again, the second point is the role of Vedas. Then how it comes, how we understand. If it is not, if we cannot understand, then how we can realize the absolute truth. Again, that was very nicely articulated by Charu Prabhuji. And at the end, we'll come to know it is only by mercy of the Lord. At the end,
Yeah.
all that thing we do, when the Lord gives a mercy, with a mercy, He reveals within. So Vedas can become instrument, as I'm understanding by reading this or
Yeah.
going to Vishwanath Chakravarti, but Thakur's also comments on that. So the crux of the matter is, this is the transcendental knowledge. As with the mundane senses, mundane body, it talks about indriyas, it talks about mind, it talks about prana, it talks about all those things. How we can understand? Yes, we cannot understand, but when the Lord reveals, he can make a transition to through that, and we can reach to absolute. I think that's only crux of that. So second point
Yeah.
is the role of the Vedas. It does indirectly describe divine mercy of Krishna. Only this is the only way, divine mercy of Krishna. This is the only way by which we can understand the unknown, which is beyond the Vedas. Again, the question here was talking about, does Vedas describe directly or indirectly? Directly, that means
Correct.
like a Charu Prabhuji having a blue shirt. That's a direct. That you can describe. Maybe the Charu Prabhuji has got something like a cloud, like that. Indirectly describing that, right? So can we do
Mm.
that here? So bhakti, path of liberation is, the gateway to understanding that goes through the bhakti, because bhakti mam abhijanati. Only you come to know Krishna, and that is how he does. Also, the fifth point, Sukhdev's indirect response to the historical context of spiritual inquiry. I think a lot of things were discussed on that, because it does
Yeah.
not describe directly, because it has got a two things: personal aspect, impersonal aspect. So personal aspect can be described directly, but Krishna also is impersonal. That nobody, the Vedas does not deny, or absolute truth doesn't deny. So it goes indirectly there. The process of spiritual, the sixth one, the process of spiritual realization, it can come through only bhakti. I think these are the points highlighted by Charu Prabhuji in more details. I think maybe the next slide will give. We can talk on that.
And
That's
we are
what
going to
I
read.
could understand, Prabhuji.
We're going to
Hare
read.
Krishna.
We're going to redo it. Part of it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That was basically the essence of the whole lesson 128 that you summarized in short. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So
the
then,
key point to add,
yes,
Mataji, just to reiterate what Chal Prabhuji said, because I am also getting excited. This is so
yeah,
amazing topic here, right? So,
Yeah.
like key point what Chal Prabhuji said, and now Prabhuji also said. I will just put that in one line. The shloka 1087 one, right? So, like Parikshit Maharaj is asking, "Oh Brahman, how can the Vedas directly describe the supreme absolute truth, who cannot be described in words? The Vedas are limited to describing the qualities of material nature, but the Supreme is devoid of these qualities, being transcendental to all material manifestation and causes." So I think that's a question rightly you put, Charprabhuji. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. So further elaborating it. So yes, this was the question. And in the further, like this slides further, a couple of slides give an overview of what will be the topics in the further lessons also, 129, 130. So we will kind of see that when it comes. So let us now concentrate on lesson 128, that is the main lesson. So we will go in detail of this particular lesson. So this particular slide very graphically and describes the whole subject matter of lesson 128. That is Parikshit Maharaj's very important question, and what was and Sukhdev Goswami's answer. So let us take it from the beginning of it. That is the introduction part of it. Now, his question is just now Prabhuji, both the Prabhujis explained nicely that something that is limitless, how can that be described by something that is limited? So that was Parikshit Maharaj's question in short. And what is the nature of the inquiry? It is mentioned over here that it is material world versus spiritual world, material world versus transcendental world. So we are very, very small thing in front of the limitless Lord, and how then the Vedas also dealing with material aspect of the world. So how can then through them through the Vedas we can understand something that is beyond the material world, that is away from the material world. So that is the supreme absolute truth, that is Brahman. So here we can see on this slide Sukhdev Goswami's answer. He gives then a historical, the background, just I mentioned in the beginning of the lesson, like this question was asked in the history also by Narad Muni to Narayan Rishi at Badrika Ashrama. Then Narayan Rishi said that it was discussed in the group of devotees in Janaloka, and it was Sananda Kumara who resolved the inquiry, the query, who resolved uh, this this question, who answered this question to the sages over there. And then here we see in the fourth part Narayan Rishi's perspective. It was asked to Sananda Kumara. Sananda Kumara further enlightened the rishis over there about this inquiry. So Narayan Rishi shares these particular enlightenments with the sages over there in Janaloka. Further, Sananda Kumara explains about the Vedas. Vedas are like they are coming, they are all transcendental, because Vedas are emerging from Lord Narayana himself. So that's the reason that they have a transcendental nature to it. So Vedas are what? Eternal glorification of Lord Narayana. And they glorified Lord Narayana at before the creation. They glorified Lord Narayana. So these prayers are basically shrutis, and these are these 28 shrutis that were explained by Sananda Kumara to the sages over there. So these recitation, these are very powerful prayers, and they describe or give the essence of the supreme absolute truth, that is Brahman. Further, we see that there are these particular enlightenments that are spoken in glorification of the Lord by the personified Vedas. These are basically dialogues and about the supreme absolute truth, and this imply the teachings. They give the teachings to whoever is seeking spiritual knowledge, whoever is seeking spiritual enlightenment. Vedas are giving them direction, which way to go, what to do. Of course, it should be understood in the right perspective. So this particular slide is a visual understanding of the whole chapter, of the whole lesson 128. If one has to just in one glance understand lesson 128, here we have to refer to this particular slide 5. Now, going in further detail, in this particular slide here, Sanjeev Prabhuji mentioned this particular verse now. So now Parikshit Maharaj is further inquiring. What is his same inquiry, that how can something transcendental be understood by something that is material, like because speech and all, everything is material. So how can that describe something that is non-material, that is transcendental? So now, what are the challenges that one faces? What is the difficulty over here? What was it is mentioned over here in this particular point B, the quest for transcendence. What are the difficulties that come across? Parikshit Maharaj, objective of
One
asking
is,
this question.
yeah, one is like we are limited and the Lord is unlimited, right? So how can a limited understand the unlimited? And then we are like, for Kali Yuga, we are always have this four. We are not, we are imperfect, and what do you call, we are always disturbed. So these are some of the challenges that can come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
So, yes, Prabhuji.
okay. So, it's a three things are mentioned because the Lord has given us material mind. The Vani which we speak, by which
Correct.
we can describe is sound vibration, is also material. And so with these two, actually there is a one word also, intelligence somewhere, mind intelligence and the sound. How we can describe this one. That is basically a crux of that,
This is
because
the challenge.
they are material. They describe material thing, and which is unknown. Many times examples are given very nicely. Says something. I'll just take a few seconds on that. Somebody says that how rasgulla tastes. It says sweet. Somebody says how sweet. It tastes really sweet. So how really it is sweet? You have to eat. So you have to realize. You have to understand. So there is something
Correct.
which you cannot understand. How can you understand that? Because our mind can go up to that. Our senses, like a taste bud, can go up to certain level, which is beyond that we can't realize, right? So that is what is also meaning, that which is beyond that. How can it see that? I think that
Yeah.
was the really dilemma.
Yeah.
I think Radha Minath Prabhuji
Yeah.
just put his thumb right on the point. That's the point I was hoping that you would get it.
Yes.
Because Vedas are transcendental.
Yes.
Vedas are not Gunavatta, okay? Because Vedas are coming from the breathing process
Yeah.
of the Lord Narayana, okay? But the Vedas that we decide and we hear, that is a problem. So as he pointed out, Vedas are recited by our tongue, right? And
Yeah.
that is material. Listening by ears, that is
Yes.
that is also material.
Material.
Okay?
Yes.
Everything is all the five senses, 10 senses, everything is material. So Vedas themselves are going to actually ultimately going to explain, because Vedas are really explained Brahman, impersonal Brahman. And that's why this historical context which Sukadeva Goswami does not answer directly, Parokshvada. And when I redo it today, those verses, I will explain to you why that happened actually. So Sukadeva Goswami answers Parishad Maharaj not directly, indirectly, Parokshvada. And there's a verse quoted by that, okay? So that's how it's going to unfold. And then Sukadeva Goswami takes it that the same question was asked by Narad Muni. And Narad Muni asked Narayan Rishi, and Narayan Rishi also said the same question was discussed with Janaloka. And Janaloka also, Sanandan Rishi also points out, none of them are actually answering that. But what they're pointing out, the Vedas themselves personified, they are the one who is going to explain and answer that precise question what Parishad Maharaj was asking, okay? And that we are going to redo it in whole, today we'll do the redo of that portion of 128 that we did last week, okay? I'm going to do that portion, redo it. Then we'll move into 129 and so on. So what I've done actually, I prepared this PowerPoint long time back, and I'm redoing everything from fresh. Word by word of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, I studied very deeply, and that answer was completely become clear in my mind. Okay, so that is what I'm going to try explain to you. It's the commentary of Srila Chakravarti Thakur, especially number 2 verse. And he has very, very long commentaries. Each verse, but 2 3 pages, 2 pages long commentaries are there. And there he explains with examples and lot of scriptural references. He gives that. Okay, we'll be doing that. So let's wrap it up, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Because it is a very long chapter with 21 slides, I'll just see the key points of it and then wrap it up, Prabhuji, so that you have enough time to
Yeah.
have. So here,
Because we're going to do it, I have to redo the part of lesson 128 and then 129 also. The PowerPoints that I sent you that you have to again download it, because I today only I did that. Okay, redo it.
okay, Prabhuji, sure. So here, what are the 3 aspects of the absolute truth? Next question.
Very good question. Anybody?
Raksha
Hare Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji.
Anyone
So,
else? Yes,
yeah,
Prabhuji. Please.
Brahman iti, Paramatma iti, Bhagavan iti, all pervading aspect, then localized aspects and Bhagavan as a person.
Thank you.
That's what, right?
Perfect.
That.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes. And then how does the Vedas articulate this particular absolute truth? By what how does it describe the Brahman? Through which vrittis? Like what are the methods of expression? It is there in this point 5. The Vedic expressions are
Shabda Vritti, right?
yeah,
Shabda,
Rudamukha Vritti,
Rudamukha and Gaunyam.
Gauna Vritti. Yes. So one is the literal meaning, that is the Rudamukha Vritti, and one is the metaphorical insight that is based on analogous analogous qualities, that is Gauna Vritti. So these are through these expressions Vedas directly describe the supreme absolute truth. And then what is the like constraints of the metaphorical language? Is Nityasakhi Mataji, would you like to do that? It is explained in this particular.
Yeah, it is the dichotomy between qualitative descriptions and the true nature of Brahman. And it is the inadequacy of Yoga Vritti and Lakshana due to the absence of relational context, and defining characteristics of Brahman, that is Anirdeshya and Nirguna.
Yeah. Brahman is,
What is the meaning of Anirdeshya?
That
it
is
is,
beyond all designations.
It cannot be explained, right? Anirdeshya means it cannot be described, indescribable,
Yeah.
because we have material senses.
so again and again, basically, Prabhuji, it is going to the same question, is what cannot be described, how can that is being explained by the Vedas? I think that is the crux of the understanding of the question. And here in a conclusion, we see that Parikshit Maharaj has this confusion, and how it is challenging for the Vedas to talk of, although it is a challenge, but still Vedas are the only way through which you can understand the absolute truth. And then it also says the last and very important point, that it is a continual journey which goes on deepening as and when you're as in on the path, like when you take devotional service, it keeps on deepening based on many other factors. Okay, so this particular verse
I'm going to
is
do that.
basic.
This is what I've added
Okay,
down.
Prabhuji.
I'm
Okay,
going to do
Prabhuji.
it.
So I'll just skip this point. Do you want me to wrap up now, or
Yeah,
so
please
that?
wrap it up. Yeah, please wrap it up. I
Okay.
got a lot of things to discuss.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, basically, it's
You
the same
you
thing
already
that.
touched the major aspect of it.
Yeah. Okay, so Prabhuji, I'll just wrap it up, that Lord has given intelligence, basically intelligence, and the Mahat Tattva is given to for 2 reasons. It has 2 dual purposes. One is material enjoyment and one is spiritual elevation. So both these purposes can be achieved by Mahat Tattva, that is senses, mind, and that prana, mind, senses, and intelligence. So living entity has two ways Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga. So he can utilize this particular body for these two purposes. And then here, like Vedas are not directly answering, they are indirectly answering Parikshit Maharaj's question. So here mention of Uddhava Gita is there of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein it reveals that a living entity is a pure spirit soul, and then through Vedic mantras, and these are esoteric understanding through which Lord says that I am pleased when I am glorified in these particular in this particular manner. So here this understanding Uddhava Gita is also important. So indirectly the Vedas answer Parikshit Maharaj's question. Now what role sound plays? Sound also plays a very important role in understanding Brahman. So what Lord in Matsya Avtara reassures King Satyavarta? Anyone? Lord in Matsya Avtara reassures King Satyavarta that when you will be favored by me, yes,
Mataji,
yes,
Because of your inquiries.
Mataji, Haribol,
yes,
I think these slides were added just in last 2 days, So I don't think many of you might have noticed it, So because that's the part I'm going to redo it,
Okay,
So
Prabhuji. So I'll stop over here. I'll stop over here so that you can continue. Sorry, Prabhuji. Please, over to you. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much. That's very, very good try. Very good try. And Radha Vinod Prabhuji understood it pretty much, almost 80% he understood it, So let's do it. So what are the complications? What are the questions that is being asked? The Parikshit Maharaj's question, we really need to understand very, very clearly. The objection is raising that, the Vedas say the impersonal Brahman. So the lecture which I gave last week, I explained to you, ultimately the personified Shruti, they are pointing out exactly that. Ultimately, we need to move on to personal aspect of the Supreme, okay, the Bhagavan realization. And how today I'm going to explain to you, because that verse 2 is the critical key verse that I found out naturally after a long study, deep study, that verse 2 commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's long commentary, and that's the one I redid it. That in the slide that Samantha Mataji was showing you, that verse 2 in 8 parts. I explained again that that particular purport of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, number 1 to 8 thematic points that I explained to you. Okay, so let's begin. First, I want to make sure absolutely everybody understood the complexity of Parikshit Maharaj's question. On the surface, it looks like it's very simple. He's pointing out that impersonal Brahman is fully transcendental. Okay, and Vedas cannot explain. Now, don't be under the misunderstanding. Vedas themselves, they are pure transcendental, because that's coming from the breathing process of the Supreme Lord. But the conditioned soul who studied Vedas through our impersonal senses, and that gave me a clue in understanding this whole situation, because they are pointing out our senses are all material. And then Radha Vinod Prabhuji also put his thumb right on the nail, head of the nail, okay? Ultimately, we need the mercy of the Lord, the grace of the Lord, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And how does he show the mercy? That's precisely shown in verse 2. So Mataji, can you recite this verse? You were showing the slide, right? Let me show let me share my Mataji, can I show my screen? Haribol?
Yes, Prabhuji, you can. Mataji has stopped.
Okay, all right.
You can share.
Mataji was showing today that the slide that I redid it, actually, that portion of it. So we are going to do part of it, not the whole thing, not the whole lesson 128, but only that part, that commentary to verse 2, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that is the one we are going to, I redid it in my slide, and I added later. And that's what Mataji was trying to explain that. But since I'm redoing it, let me go through that. Yes. Samantha Mataji, could you like to sing this verse again? This is verse 2, actually. Buddhi,
Okay,
Indriya.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Buddhi, Indriya, Mana, Prana, Jananam, Ashrajat, Prabhu, Martartham cha
Matrartham.
Bhavartatham, Matrarthamam cha
No, not Matra,
Bhavartatham,
not Matra, Matra, Tanamatra, actually it is. The Matrartham.
Matrarthamam, Matrartatham cha Bhavartatham, Chat mane Kalpanaya cha.
Okay. So you see that this verse, Sukadeva Goswami is answering in Parokshvada. You know what is Parokshvada? Indirectly answering. And then he gives the historical context, actually. So you see the Parikshvada's question again. How the words supposedly material, Vedas themselves are not material, okay? But the way we pronounce conditioned soul, we are imperfect. The three gunas are there, you know. So the words we recite, Vedic words, that is material, guna vrattaya, whereas Vedas, anirdeshya, indescribable. So how the words supposedly material of the Vedas can directly, now the key word I underline, I put it in capital letters and underline to underscore, emphasize. They are saying, the Vedas do say that we can directly, not indirectly, directly describe the absolute truth. Even Brahman, Bhagavan, yes, because we can worship the Lord, Bhagavan realization. But how to worship somebody that has no qualities, no form, that is impersonal Brahman. And that is indeed, with my deep study of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I understood it, and that's what I'm going to share with you. How that impersonal Brahman also can be understood. And what is the problem with it? Problem is that we have imperfect senses under the influence of three modes. And how does the Lord help us to understand that even impersonal Brahman? And that is precisely shown in this verse. What does Lord does that? Buddhi, Indriya, Mana, Prana. These four entities. Buddhi means intelligence. Okay, he gives that intelligence. Then Indriya, the 10 senses. Then comes the Mana, the Manas, Chitta, mind. And then Prana. Prana is the life air. So these four entities that we need, that Lord is giving us, initially we utilize, because that's how we perceive our surroundings, environment. Okay, through our buddhi, through our 10 indriyas. Mana is the 11th indriya, actually considered in the life air. That's how the living entity can perceive his surroundings. So initially it is when we are in the conditioned soul, we have tremendous our own interest, self-interest. We satisfy our indriyas for our self-purpose. Okay? But sooner or less, so then the second part of the verse again explained that. So buddhi, mana, pranan, jananam, we, the living entities of the world, jananam, asujat. Sujami is means creation, right? In the Sanskrit language, when you would put it in the past tense, then become asrujat. Pathati, studying, is a present verse, right? When you put it in past tense, apathat. So srujat, asrujat. So see that is when the ma comes before that, then you have to break the sandhi. And that's the beauty part of it, Vedas. Vedas are deliberately made ambiguous. And the sandhis, how you break, 180-degree difference in the meaning will come out. So that's why Vedic words are purposely put it that way so that different things can come out of it. Even the hidden meanings are there. And the whole beauty part of it, how you break the sandhis. So here, Jananam Asrujat Prabhu. Prabhu means the Supreme Lord. So he is the one who has given us buddhi, indriya, senses, mana, the mind, life air. How you utilize it, that is a matter. The ultimate purpose of the Lord is to understand the Vedas. But initially, because of our self-interest, our sense satisfaction, sense gratification, we don't play. But then the second part explains. Matra artham. Matra means what? It's the tanamatra. You have a senses, then the sense objects, right? Each of the 10 senses are there, and then the tanamatras are there. So senses are going to be attracted to the sense objects. Okay? So artham means for that purpose. So for that purpose, initially is there to satisfy our indriyas. Matra artham cha. Cha means and. Bhava artham. Now, how you pronounce makes a 180-degree difference. Bhava and bhava. If you don't read it properly, then you misunderstand. Bhava is totally different. Bhava is the one, the mind-body complex, translocation of the soul into 8.4 million species of life forms and 14 planetary systems. So unless and until we become self-realized, we have to keep moving life after life after life after life. Millions of years, so many millions of lifetimes. But some time will come, Lord is saying, that you will be able to self-realize by the when you super saturated, you don't want it, then the material difficulties come super saturated. That's when the time comes and the Lord sends a devotee, pure devotee in our lives as guru. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Matrartham cha bhavartham. Bhava means different lives, and they are all repeated birth, death, and so like that. Cha. Now again, there is a how you break the sandhi, the meaning will be different. Atmane, and then see that the S sign is there. You have to pose that when you sing that. Atmane akalpanaye cha. So that is what the whole thing is there. That when by the time you spend many lifetimes, many lifetimes, and you don't become self-reliant, every time Lord, the cycle ends, all the living entities with the karmas frozen enters in his body, and the next cycle begins. Again, he's going to inject through his glands in the womb of the Prakriti. And again, you have to remember that Sankhya Yoga, and look at it's right in front of me. Front of me is not on the screen, in the mental plane. So I look up the mental plane and I can see that chart many times shared with you. What the chart shows at the top. On the left side in my chart, I gave you Purusha. Who is that Purusha? Is a Vishesha Purusha. That Vishesha Purusha is beyond time and space. That is Shri Krishna, the Lord Krishna, Lord Mahavishnu. And the right side is the Prakriti. And Prakriti at that time is in a Pradhana Rupa. Pradhana means the three modes of material nature are dormant. So when the Lord through his glance injects the living entities who did not become self-realized in previous cycle, they are again giving additional opportunity. Along with the time potency, injects the womb of the Prakriti, and Prakriti's three modes then become, with the time potency, agitated again. So then that Prakriti Pradhana becomes Mahat Tattva. And that Mahat Tattva, if you go to table downward, then Mahat Tattva is going to be acted upon the Ahankara. Ahankara means this Manobuddhi Ahankara Antakarana, So Manabuddhi, the Antakara, the Ahankara, again is going to be expressed in three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. In mode of passion, the leftmost side of the table, what I see here in my mental plane is the mind. So mind is created that way. In the Rajoguna, the 10 senses are created. Okay, Gyanendriyas, Karmendriyas. In the rightmost, so rightmost of the table, all this thing is my mental plane. You will see that table again later on. Then the ahankara in the mode of ignorance acts upon. Then what happens? Then tanmatras are created, the sense objects. Senses are created. Senses need these tanmatras, sense objects to satisfy. And that sense, each of these tanmatras are going to be raised to gives to the Pancha Mahabhuta. So our gross body is given. So that is what the whole thing is there, the Sankhya Yoga. So here, that is what the Lord's mercy comes. What Radha Vinod Prabhu said right in the beginning, that ultimately we need the grace of the Lord. And that grace of the Lord is that grace, Lord is given the mind, intelligence. We need to utilize the intelligence. And it takes many lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, until we come to the right point. Now, all of you are so fortunate you have come in this lifetime, you all begin to use your intelligence. And that intelligence, what I'm using it in understanding is Bhagavatam. And you are listening. And now you are going to speak to somebody else. So now, this lifetime, we become fortunate to use that, and that's exactly what Lord wants. Now we can utilize the mind, intelligence, indriyas, not for your self-purpose, but understand the Vedas, the instruction the Lord has given in the Vedas. Okay? And that's how we are going to, through Vedas, we are going to understand who He is impersonal Brahman, Brahmajyoti, which has no form, no attributes. Okay, that's called Nirguna. And Lord is Saguna Brahman, and He is also Supreme Brahman, because we are also called Brahman. Living entity is also called Brahman. To distinguish from that, the Lord is called Supreme Brahman. And that absolute truth is in three parts, right? Brahman, impersonal Brahman, and then localized portion of that absolute truth is Paramatman, situated in our heart. And finally, the full, complete realization is Bhagavan realization. And through that Bhagavan realization, we do bhakti, render bhakti. And ultimately, we become purified. More and more mercy will keep on flowing to us through the Lord. Okay? So this is what this key verse is there. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur used a long commentary to explain that verse, and I had to study it so deeply. Finally, I understood it. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami, what he says in giving indirectly, the Supreme Lord manifested. So these things, the point are missed by many of us. We missed that, and that's why I did not understand properly. The Supreme Lord manifested the material intelligence, senses, mind, and vital air of the living entity so so that they could indulge their desire for sense gratification in the beginning, right? And some point in one of the lifetime, we self-realize, then take repeated births to engage in fruitive activities, become elevated in future lives, and ultimately attain liberation. So there's the last part of the verse. Atmane akalpanaya cha. Atmane by self, we realize that kalpanaya cha, that means we realization. Okay. Now let's see. So I'm going to now explain Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in 8 parts. Okay. So Vedic insights on absolute truth is below is the summary of the King Parishit's question and Sukdev Goswami's response. So key thematic elements, philosophical implication. So first the thematic element is part A portion of it. B portion, the philosophical implication. In the C portion, now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives detailed references. Their references also Shruti, Upanishads. Because the important Brahman is explained in Upanishad by and large, except with few exceptions like Isha Upanishad. Generally, Upanishad don't talk about personal aspect of the Lord. They only talk about impersonal aspect of it, okay? But the 28 Shrutis were offering prayers to Lord Narayana. They're awakening Lord Narayana. Previous cycle is over, and the time has come to become new cycle. So they awaken the Lord from his yoga nidra. Okay. So now that's the reason why Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes specific Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, and so like Taittiriya Upanishad, and so like that. In fact, some 40 years back, when I first started studying Sanskrit, I took personal lessons from a Sanskrit scholar, and I told him, I don't want to learn Sanskrit as a language, but so that I could study the Vedas and Upanishads, So he started teaching me Upanishads right from very beginning. The 10 Upanishads I learned from him. The first Upanishad I learned it from him. And that's why I learned Sanskrit at that time. And many, many years back, 40 years back. And that was Taittiriya Upanishad. So now all this thing is come back to me, and now I'm taking advanced Sanskrit as part of my PhD exam. So the creation of intelligence and senses now. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna created the facilities of Buddhi, Mana, Indriya, Prana. And the ultimate purpose of that is to understand his instructions in the Vedas. But we don't realize that it takes many, many lifetimes. So for that is the purpose, real purpose. Look at the part B now. This creation serves dual purposes. One is for material enjoyment. Okay. So this is called Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga. Now, the Pravritti Marga is necessary. Don't misunderstand. It is very, very necessary. Okay. Because we have to continue the population of the universe and so on like that. Procreation must continue. So all this in Pravritti Marga is needed. But the Lord is created in such a way that Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga do not need to be segregated. If you follow the Vedic injunction, you enjoy Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Okay? So Artha, economics is needed to make a living. Kama, material desires, is necessary in the beginning. In the same way, material modes of nature. We need all 3 modes actually. The Sattva Guna is needed obviously, but even Rajoguna and Tamoguna, because Rajoguna is needed to make a living. Unless you have a passion for a particular profession, how are you going to make a living? And we need a Tamoguna also. We need to sleep in the night. Unless there is Tamoguna, you cannot sleep. But all these things, if you follow in the Vedic injunctions, they are tailor-made. Automatically, Nivritti Marga will follow when time comes. So pravritti and nivritti marg are right there. Initially, pravritti marg facilitates sense gratification and engagement in fruitive activities. Okay, and that's called the part of the verse matra artham, tanamatra, sense objects. Then when spiritual elevation takes place, when Lord sends a self-realized soul in our life as guru, then Nivritti Marg actually begins, aids in attaining liberation and elevation in the future lives. Okay? Gradually, we become purified enough and ultimately go back to the spiritual world. So this verse 2, Canto 10, chapter 87, we are discussing. Verse 2 states, the Supreme Lord manifested dash 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 so that they could indulge their material desires initially, but that same material desire must be transformed. And how does the transformation takes place? Transformative devotion. Bhakti itself has incredible transformative ability for us to become spiritualized. Okay? So this is the beginning of that verse. Okay. So that is the first two segment of it, in which I try to explain directly the verse itself. Okay. Now we go forward. So now here, the indirectness of the answer. Why Sukadeva Goswami indirectly did not give directly? Because the certain portion of the human beings, particularly impersonalist mind, those who do not want to accept other way, they think impersonal Brahman is everything. For them, he put it that way. And then, of course, he gives historical context. He does not answer the question right away. Indirectly tells all this historical context. Okay. So indirectness of the answer. Sukadeva Goswami provided an indirect response, acknowledging that subtle questions requires nuanced answer. What is nuanced answers? That answers, there are some built-in objective points in that needs careful utilization of our intelligence. The indirect communication aligns with the esoteric. What is the esoteric word? Esoteric means very difficult to understand, difficult to comprehend. Directly you cannot understand. Okay, you really have to utilize that brain, that mind, intelligence that Lord has given to you for the right purpose. Okay, so that's the reason that first verse, verse 2 is very important. Why he has given, for what purpose he has given that? Not for our sense gratification. Ultimately, the real purpose was given to understand the Vedas, in which he gives the instruction how to conduct ourselves to become free from this material world. Okay? So indirect communication aligns with the esoteric nature of the Vedic text, suggesting that deeper meaning often lie beneath the surface interpretation. Though always there is a hidden meaning, and Sanskrit language is built that way. The Vedas are built that way, ambiguous. In order to get below the surface meaning, you need a self-realized soul to help you understand that, to get that message, hidden message. So Uddhav Gita, Krishna himself says that. Uddhav, you know what is Uddhav Gita? Krishna gives the instructions. Pretty much bulk of 11th canto that we'll be talking about is this Uddhav Gita. He gives instruction to Uddhava. And these instructions were very important. This Gita, some of the information that's not even given in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, because that was a different platform. Here, Lord is living the world, and Uddhava wants to come with him. He wanted Lord to take him. Lord said, no, I have got a mission for you. You need to remain behind. And he gives the mission in Badrika Ashrama. So at that point, he gives parting instruction. So that instructions are so important, so critically important, that is not revealed in Bhagavad Gita. So here, this particular verse is quoted that the Vedas divide into three divisions. What are the three divisions? Jnana Yoga, the three yogas are Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, that is mystic yoga, and finally bhakti yoga. And each of these yogas, they lead into a particular way of liberation, realization. Jnanis, through Jnana Yoga, their goal is to get knowledge of Brahman, impersonal Brahman. So Brahman realization is the goal of the Jnanis. The Ashtanga yogis, they go one step further. They train themselves to control their senses in the heart. The heart, the whole sense gratification ideas and all this comes, right? So that heart that's where the Paramatma is residing. So their goal is Paramatma realization. Okay. And the Bhakti Yoga, their realization is Bhagavan. So these three aspects, the absolute truth. The Vedas divide into three divisions, ultimately reveal. So there's in Vedas also, almost like 80% of the verses, they are in that Jnana Yoga. Karma Kanda and also Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda is there. And finally, the Upasana Kanda, which is about only 5%. Upasana Kanda is the one which leads to Bhakti Yoga. So the deal in esoteric terms, deliberately, hidden way, double meaning. And also I'm pleased by such, so Lord loves that Parokshvada. Krishna is never straightforward. You always say something with multiple meanings. He said that I love Parokshvada. I'm pleased by such confidential descriptions. Depending upon the qualification of the listener, that hidden meaning is going to be revealed much later when the living entity, the fellow himself, is going to get involved in it. When he becomes ready, then Lord sends a guru. Okay, what is the indirectness of the answer? Sukhdev provides an indirect response, acknowledging that subtle questions require nuanced answers. Nuanced answer means double meaning things, hidden meanings. Just like this question, the verse, Parikshit Maharaj uses that. The indirect communication aligns with the esoteric nature of the Vedic text. Esoteric nature means multiple meanings. Sometimes meanings are totally diametrically opposite. They are context driven, suggesting that deeper meanings often lie beneath the surface interpretations. So Uddhav Gita, the verse is translation, the Vedas divide into three divisions, ultimately reveal the living entity as pure spirit soul. The Vedic seers and the mantras, however, deal in esoteric terms deliberately. And I am also pleased by such confidential description. Krishna says, I like the Parokshvada answers, because he wants us to utilize our mind, intelligence that he has given us, but we have been using wrongly for wrong ways. So he waits patiently for us, sometimes life after life after life after life, multiple lives. So now third and fourth component of that, the role of the sound and the words in understanding the absolute. Remember at the beginning, Parikshit Maharaj is raising the point that our mind, our words, tongues, listening, ears, they are all under the influence of the three modes of material nature. So how are we going to understand that? So the words of the Vedas indeed can directly describe the absolute truth, even the impersonal Brahman. The explanation is right there, and 28 Shrutis that will go verse by verse all the way up to 50 verses. There will come across when the Shrutis are going to explain that indeed the impersonal Brahman can be understood. So when approached with the right consciousness and the tools that we need to get the right consciousness, manaha, indriya, buddhi, and prana are given for that purpose. We need to utilize what we've been given for the right purpose. And that also comes from the mercy of Krishna. grace of Krishna. He has given the elements that we need, but to him to rightly utilize, also we need grace. And how does the grace comes? How do we attract the Lord's grace? By devotional service, by bhakti. So bhakti has a tremendous, tremendous transformative power. My whole thesis, my whole hypothesis for his PhD is built on that sentence. This challenge is the impersonalistic view that Brahman is indescribable, asserting that divine grace allows for the expressibility of the transcendental. See that very, very important. This. Let me read again. Please pay attention, close attention. This chapter is very difficult to understand. Okay, so unless until you listen to me carefully, it'll be very difficult. So I'm going to emphasize which words are utilized, which verse, which sentence is utilized for that purpose. So this one is very important to understand. These challenges, what the challenges? How to understand, how to properly utilize the mind intelligence the Lord has given us, how to attract Lord's grace, and how do we utilize the transformative capability of bhakti process. The Lord automatically, by His grace, we understand what is need to be understood. The challenge is the impersonalistic view that Brahman is indescribable. What was indescribable now becomes describable. What is unknown, Krishna is unknowable. How to understand, how to know which is unknowable? Only with the unknowable chooses to reveal himself. Tesham satat yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhi yugam tam yena manu upayantite. So by loving devotional service, Krishna, through his internal potency, Samvit Shakti, gives that knowledge to understand him and the Vedas to be understood. That intelligence to understand the Bhagavatam deeply, the inner meanings. You need that intelligence is already given, but it must be utilized under the direction of a guru. So Lord Matsya, so now Srila Chakravarti uses another reference where Krishna himself says in his Matsya Avtara, okay, to King Satyavrata, look at this verse. Now it's also key verse. You will be thoroughly advised, Lord says, okay? Matsya Avtara, Lord Matsya says, reveals himself to King Satyavrata that you are thoroughly advised and favored by me, because Satyavrata was a great Lord's great devotee. You are favored by me because of that, and because of your inquiries, you need to inquire. How many times I keep telling you, you need to ask questions. Unless and until you ask questions, you are never going to understand this thing. The question should pop up in your mind. More and more you hear, 100 questions should pop up in your mind, And unless you open up that, you are never going to understand the intricacies of the Vedic verses. So, favored by me, and because of your inquiries, everything about my glories, which are known as Param Brahma. Param Brahma means impersonal Brahman, defined by the sound Shabditam. So, even those words, Shabda, Vedas are Shabda Brahmana. That was initially said, Krishna Maharaj, that you cannot utilize the Shabda to understand the Vedas, to understand impersonal Brahman. But same Shabda Pramana, same Vedas can reveal itself to you if you utilize the intelligence I gave you, Krishna says, will be manifest within your heart. So Krishna himself says that even the impersonal Brahman, Param Brahman, you will be able to understand by my grace. Just you need to utilize the intelligence that I gave you, and that you are going to be able to utilize when you come to a bhakti platform. The tremendous transforming ability of the bhakti will allow you to come to me and utilize your intelligence properly. Thus, you will know everything about me. What me means Krishna. and his instructions in the Vedic scriptures. The fourth component, the dependence on divine mercy. So how do you attract Lord's grace? So you need to raise your arms. My Lord, please save me from this Bhavasagara. I'm sinking. So when you raise your arms, then Lord can lift you up. So that's what Lord is saying, that realization of impersonal Brahman is contingent upon receiving divine mercy. Anugrahitam. See, that's what we need, that. All the tools are given to you, right? But even the impulse to utilize the mind which you already have, intelligence we already have, that impulse will also come from Krishna. And that through bhakti process, then his mercy, his grace will follow, keep on following. In the second canto Bhagavatam, he gives, I give unlimited flow of intelligence to my devotees if he knows how to use this intelligence for his purpose, for his mission. Realizing of impersonal Brahman is contingent, is dependent upon receiving this divine mercy. Anugrahitam. Yasam anugrahami. Krishna says that. When to someone, when I want to give a special mercy to that person, I take away all dhanam, arishasi, everything material, that I take it away so that he can come to me. He highlights the relative rational aspect of knowledge and devotion, where understanding is not merely intellectual, but the result of a grace. So we use some intelligence to understand that he has given to us, but that is not enough. वो काफी नहीं है. उसको समझने के लिए भगवान की दया होनी चाहिए, भगवान की कृपा दृष्टि होनी चाहिए, भगवान के भक्तों की कृपा दृष्टि होनी चाहिए, तब ये समझ में आता है. The emphasis on my mercy. See that? The emphasis on my mercy in Lord Vatsya's assurance indicates that knowledge of Brahman transcends ordinary understanding. It is designed to be difficult to understand Brahman. Unless you get the mercy, grace of Krishna through the transforming ability, capability of bhakti process, we cannot. We have been given the tools for that purpose, but we don't know how to utilize the tools. Number 5 and 6, the nature of Brahman and Vedic elements. So now the nature is revealed to us. What is impersonal Brahman is all about. So these Vedas, the Vedas do not delineate, do not describe, do not make us understand the impersonal Brahman. They're designed that way. It's not to be understood. No. Unless you are qualified. The Vedas do not delineate the impersonal Brahman, but can express the personal aspect of the Supreme, Satchit Ananda. Eternity, cognition, chit, knowledge, and then bliss, Ananda. Satchit Ananda. We are qualitatively, we are already Satchit Ananda as soul, pure soul, but we have been given this material body. The three modes of material nature is preventing us. That's why we need to continuously hear. Later on will come Krishna's pastimes we must hear. You know, that pastimes are designed simply hearing that. Shrotam Sokata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtan Hridiyatrasto Bhadrani. Then Krishna, Chet Ete Rana Viddam. Kam Krodha Loga Badha Moha Matsara, coming from the low mode of Rajas and Tamoguna, he removes, and in that place he establishes Sattva-guna. And through Sattva-guna, pure bhakti process takes place. The transformative capability of that bhakti takes place, and that Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam comes into play. You know, the distinction underscores that while Brahman is beyond material description, it possesses spiritual qualities that can be articulated through divine revelation. So ultimately, Lord's grace is required. He is the one who makes us understand, but we need to raise our arms. We need to show the Lord that we are ready to hear you, my Lord, we are ready to hear you. Then that mercy will come into play. And devotee association, sadhu sangha, these are the tools we need that. So Brahmaji states, Brahma is beyond Brahman, is beyond sound, implying that sound can still convey aspects of the divine. So the very sound that initially was contaminated with the modes of material nature, that Shabda, the sound, is purified for us then. Sixth element, functionality of intelligence and senses. Now, this is also very important. He has already given the tools, but we don't know how to utilize the tools. So Krishna creates this Mahatattva and the sensory faculties for the welfare of the Jivatmans, allowing them to engage with the Supreme. This indicates that both material and spiritual practices are interwoven, they are intertwined, both material and spiritual. Okay, we have to untwine that, and that is by bhakti process. Vidyatradenutis, they're intertwined. We need to open up spirit and matter. We cannot do it by our own selves. When Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam is revealed to us, science of Krishna revealed to us, then automatically that the rope, three things are intertwined. Goodness, passion, and ignorance, they are going to be completely separated. Material spiritual practices are interwoven as senses can be used for worship. So that body-mind complex, which is the very cause of our material existence, that same body-mind complex can be utilized to get out of material existence and transform into spiritual intelligence. That is the transforming capability of bhakti process, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and hearing Krishna's sweet pastimes, nectarian pastimes in the company of the devotees. And then Gopal Tapani Upanishad describe the Supreme Lord in terms of that allow for spiritual recognition, reinforcing the connection between the perception and devotion. Now, this is also very important. What is perception and what is devotion? Right kind of perception should be there, and to perceive the reality, we need to use this that Krishna has given us. Buddhi, Indriya, Mana, and Prana. So that has already been given, but we were using for the wrong purpose. Now we must utilize that. So then this bhakti transforming capability of the bhakti allows us to attract the grace of the Lord, and then we learn how to utilize those tools that are given to us. So then even the most difficult part, even in particular Brahman, will be automatically revealed to us. Then the final point, the role of the devotion. So ultimately, the devotion comes into play. Okay? Pure bhakti. And bhakti will come constantly hearing, because what is preventing us to understand is the lower modes of material nature, gunavattaya. So we need to get out of it. And only by hearing Krishna Katha in Sadhu Sangha, chanting the holy name, then Krishna, by his internal potency, Samavit Shakti, he gives the knowledge. He removes those lower modes that were preventing us and establishes the Shuddha Sattva Guna, Bhagavad Bhakti Prayojita. Then the science of Krishna. Krishna himself reveals to us, the role of devotional realization. The process of devotional practice enables devotee to perceive and understand the transcendental quality of Krishna. Say even Brahman can be understood. Otherwise, it's next to impossible. As I told you in the first lecture last week that I gave you, right? That's why we need impersonal Brahman is deliberately very difficult. So we need to bhakti to Bhagavan. Bhakti can come only to Bhagavan realization, But even when we come to that level, even the impersonal Brahman is going to reveal, automatically reveal to us from within our heart. This affirms the realization of the divine is accessible through devotion, emphasizing the importance of surrender and service. Sharanagati, unconditional surrender. Sarvadarbhan parityajya bhamekam sharanam vraja. Antam paro sarva papebhyo mokshyasmi. Ma sucha, don't worry about it. I will help you. You just come to me. You just surrender yourself. You let me handle you. Let me teach you how to do it. Bhagavad Gita states that I am known by the Vedas. Vedeshi sarvasya aham vedyo. He says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Through Vedas I am to be understood. Vedanta Krit Ved. I am known by the Vedas, highlighting. So you see that Krishna says himself that Vedas are very difficult to understand, right? As Parikshit put about no. If you surrender yourself, Sharanagati, then Krishna said, I am to be understood by the Vedas. Vedas are given for that purpose to the human society, to the first living entity, Lord Brahma, through disciplic succession. Brahma gave to Narada. Narada gave to Srila Vyasadeva. Through Vyasadeva came to Sukadeva Goswami. And through that, Bhagavatam came into existence for the humanity to understand that. In conclusion, this summary underscores the intricate relationship between Krishna's creation of faculties, this buddhi, the esoteric nature of the Vedic teachings, the most difficult part, the hidden meanings, they are automatically going to be revealed to you. The expressibility of Brahman. So then Brahman could be expressed to us. So you can understand impersonal Brahman. Previously it was not possible. Through divine grace, by Lord's grace, and the essential role of devotion. So 3 or 4 units are required. Okay? First, the tools are given to us. We should learn how to utilize those tools. But by our own way, we cannot understand that. For that, we need to utilize bhakti process. And through bhakti, we attract the grace of the Lord. And by Lord's grace, everything is going to be automatically revealed to you, revealed to us. That is the secret of everything. Okay. So final 8th part. And the 8th part is the most important, Direct answer to, so now, which was given indirect answer by Sukadeva Goswami, now the direct answer is given to Parikshit Maharaj. So direct answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question and indirect communication. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur identifies in this verse 2, I need you to understand that. I need you to go back and read after my explanation. Now if you read it, you will understand better. And read through the help of these PowerPoints. Refined PowerPoints, okay? So Vishwanath Chakravarti identifies in 1087-2 as a direct response King Parikshit's inquiry. So now which was given indirect answer, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti help us to understand the direct answer, which was hidden so far. How the Vedas can describe the absolute truth. Even the impersonal Brahman can be understood, emphasizing the importance of the faculties, the buddhi, intelligence is given already to us, but we were using it for wrong purpose. We were using to make money, right? Created by Krishna for engaging with the divine. The recognition underscores the belief that while the Vedas articulate transcendental truths, they do articulate, their effectiveness relies on the faculties bestowed by the Supreme Lord. So it is there. Answer, everything is given there in the Vedas. But we need to use it with intelligence mind. Okay? And how to utilize the mind? We need Lord's grace. And for that, we need to engage ourselves in bhakti process. So Lord Matsya assures King Satyavrata that through earnest inquiry, you need to ask questions. How many times I need to tell you all these things? Look at Krishna himself says, you need to inquire. How long you're going to keep silence? How long are you? When are you going to wake up? Ask probing questions. Otherwise, how are you going to understand it? Soon your life will be over. Lord Bhatsya assures King Satyavrata that through earnest inquiry and divine mercy, one can directly comprehend Brahman, which was difficult to understand. These historic reference and how, because no more gunas are acting on you, the transforming capability of the devotional service bhakti is removing the lower modes of material nature. Shuddha Sattva Guna is coming into play. That's how you understand now. And that's the Lord's mercy. Lord's Samavit Shakti is acting upon you, through which it can be understood, illustrating that the question of the Veda's efficacy in describing the divine has been the subject of contemplation among sages throughout history. Sages have been discussing for eons and eons. So that's why the historical context, I won't go because that we already discussed so far. The conclusion, this thematic element enriches the overall understanding of the discourses by illustrating the rationale behind the approach taken by Sukadeva Goswami and emphasizing. So Sukadeva Goswami initially gave indirect answer, but ultimately through historical context, now we get to hear the 28 Shrutis. They themselves are going to explain to us, and they themselves how gradually they come to Bhagavan realization. And they themselves are saying the bhakti process is critical in this for this purpose. You will hear as we keep on moving until the verse 50th comes into play. All right, so this is all I wanted to say. That is why I redid that lesson 128. Now we get to the lesson 129. Any questions thus far? Let me take a few minutes break and see if there are questions, comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have one question because
Yes.
so the tools we are talking about, one is intelligence, another is the senses. We can understand the five, Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, mind we can understand. But the vital air, that roll up, vital air, how to understand that? Because I cannot connect this with man, buddhi and indriyas. I cannot connect.
You need the living symptoms. That's why you need a pranavayu oxygen, right? You need the life. That's how the senses, the mind, everything is dead if you don't have the life air.
Okay, so life air sustains intelligence, senses, mind. That is how we look
Yes,
at it?
exactly.
Okay,
That's
okay,
really
Prabhu.
required.
Okay, thank you.
So life air is not just for living symptoms. Okay, the life air is there to utilize to understand all these things. You need the conscious mind. Brain cannot survive without oxygen in the blood. Anything other tissues can survive few minutes. The brain cannot survive even 2 minutes. And you need to use your brain, intelligence. For that, constant life air is required.
But Prabhuji might be Radha Vinod Prabhuji wants to ask. Air is not related to us because ours is mind, intelligence, and ego. Na? So air is not the part of either our soul or body.
No, the life air gives the living symptoms, right? That is the life. What is called life air. It gives the life. We need that life to utilize the mind. Intelligence is.
प्रभु जी हम जो क्रिया कर रहे हैं उसके द्वारा ही कर रहे हैं ना, क्योंकि अगर ऑक्सीजन नहीं होगा तो पूरा शरीर ही नहीं चलेगा.
Yes, exactly. That's what the point I'm trying to make. But don't misunderstand that. Life means not just living for the wrong purpose. Krishna is pointing out, specifying us that you need life in everything for this purpose, to understand me, understand my instructions in the Vedas. For that purpose, life here is actually given. But we were using it for wrong purpose. We want to remain alive. खाने के लिए जीते हैं, जीने के लिए नहीं खाते हैं.
प्रभु जी
समझे
बहुत
आप?
सारे लोग का ऐसा थिंकिंग है, खाओ पियो
खाने
और
के लिए
ऐश
जीते,
करो। हाँ
खाने के लिए ऐश आराम के लिए जीते नहीं है, जीना नहीं चाहिए.
सही बात। यस प्रभु जी।
जीना
मतलब
या
किसी को
प्रभु जी
पूछो प्रभु जी, प्रभु जी किसी को पूछे तो कहे खाओ पियो और ऐश करो, बस वही तो लाइफ है, दूसरा कुछ नहीं करना है।
Gemini Rishi, that's what he said in Karma Yoga, Karma Kanda.
So,
That
Prabhuji,
fuel
as we
बचा
go
करो,
forward,
मस्ती मारो.
we'll understand that he talks about the breathing and bellows.
So life here is life is not for that purpose. आप समझिए, मतलब कहने का मतलब लाइफ फेयर का कहने का मतलब not just for living symptom, but why you need to live, for what purpose? To become self-realized, to connect yourself with Lord Shri Krishna and understand his instructions in the Vedas. They are given for us to reach him. Okay.
प्रभु जी
okay, thank
पर्पस
you.
ऑफ द वेदा टू अंडरस्टैंड द लॉर्ड।
Exactly. Vedescha sarva aham vedyo. Right? Krishna says.
Yes, Prabhu ji. Yes.
Vedescha sarva aham vedyo. I am to be understood by Vedas. And bhaktya mama vijanati. That's also true. Okay. So let me move on to lesson 129. And I don't know how long, how far I will get into it. We may have to continue next week, I guess. So this chapter was this particular lesson was very important. Okay, let me share that.
प्रभु जी ये पीपीटी भी रिवाइज्ड है, आपने डाली है कि ये सेम है?
सब शुरू से किया है, आज ही डाला है. So
मतलब ये 129 भी प्रभु जी नया है कि वो हम लोग ने जो डाउनलोड किया?
सब नया है ये.
तो अच्छा वापस करना पड़ेगा है ना?
So whatever you might have downloaded previously is gone now.
ओके प्रभु जी.
Sorry, I have. One minute, okay. Abhi, it's not that difficult now. Now it's all downhill. Can you see my slide now? Haribol?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Okay. So now we are going to text 129, Supreme Reality, Understanding Krishna's Nature, Creation and Devotion. Now the three things are combined, okay? What is Krishna's very nature? Okay? And it connects with the creation and of course bhakti. So these four verses, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 14, 15, 16, and 17, four verses that we are going to discuss, okay? So 14 is about the divine supremacy and the role of devotion in overcoming the illusion. We are all under the Maya's influence. The three modes are there working against us. Okay? So we need bhakti to get rid of those three modes. Then text 15 is for supreme unity, understanding Brahman and the nature of divine manifestation. So Krishna is going to show us how to understand the impersonal Brahman, the nectar of divine worship, transcending material miseries. Material miseries also there. The sense of true life through devotion to the Supreme. Okay, this is it looks like it's a difficult slide, but it's not. Because by this time, you all know what are the three modes and how three modes work, how they condition ourselves, the basic Bhagavad Gita knowledge that I'm sure everybody knows. But just to refresh your knowledge, I'm giving you again. Okay. So the glorification of Mahavishnu, the sacred scriptures, Shrutis, they glorify Mahavishnu. Remember, they are awakening Lord Mahavishnu for the purpose of creation. Is Krishna's expansion. The three Purusha expansion are solely meant for material cosmic manifestation. So Mahavishnu is the one who is going to, by his glance over the distance from Karna ocean, he is going to throw his glance, and by glance he's injecting living entities with their karmas, all right, and the time potency, and he himself enters as Paramatma, give birth in the Prakritis. The three modes Pradhana gets activated, now becomes Mahat Tattva. Okay. So the scriptures unequivocally extol Mahavishnu. In no uncertain terms, these Shrutis are glorifying Mahavishnu, acknowledging him as unconquerable. The modes of material nature cannot act on the Supreme Lord. In fact, Maya Devi is subservient to the Supreme Lord. Maya Devi is only for the living entities who are bent on satisfying their senses and replete with divine opulences. So that is Mahavishnu. And then B, the proclamation positions the Supreme Lord as the ultimate sovereign over all beings. So here again, you're pointing out the demigod worship that we must get over. Although Shruti says that some of the Rigveda, earliest Shrutis do say Indra, Varuna, some glorification, but ultimately it is Lord Shiv, Krishna, or Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Because they are the one, Mahavishnu is the one who's setting the motion, the cosmic manifestation, not the demigods involved in cosmic manifestation. In fact, they themselves are created by this cosmic manifestation. So now there are three modes. Maya is depicted as the eternal force that ensnares conditioned souls in ignorance, creating profound challenges in their spiritual journeys. Yes, in the beginning of a spiritual journey, before we come to the bhakti process, bhakti platform, these modes are going to be acting, and we must learn how the modes are acting, how they condition us. Even the mode of goodness, which is supposed to be good, okay, better than Rajoguna and Tamaguna, but even the mode of goodness, how do the mode of goodness condition us? Why? Because it gives us that false sense of security. Oh, now we are in Sattva everything is fine. No, because material mode of goodness can still degrade into the Rajoguna and Tamaguna. And all three modes are constant flux. Okay, so we need to get out of this material mode of goodness to come to the pure mode of goodness, because material mode of goodness will allow us to remain still in the material world. It will allow us to go to the heavenly planet to enjoy. But even heavenly planets are also going to ending. So that gives a false security. Okay? So where we need to understand that. So all these three modes are, you can read it afterwards because that's easy to understand. I'll bypass. The nature of the devotional service, bhakti. Now, by this time, all of you now become expert in bhakti. Everything you probably know about it because we have conducted Madhurya Kadambini, Radha Tattva, and all these things. We have gone through all these courses. So basic things you already know about it. Okay. But now here we are talking about the application of that. Okay. The commentary asserts that genuine realization of Mahavishnu is unattainable without the practice of bhakti. As Krishna says, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Unless until you come to bhakti platform, you will never understand me, Krishna says. All the doubts will keep on rising in your mind. Only bhakti will solve all your questions. This highlights devotion as the cornerstone of spiritual advancement, suggesting that mere intellectual so by your own buddhi is given to us for that purpose. But by own our ability, the buddhi also we don't know. The tools are given, but if we don't know how to utilize the tools are useless for us. So the ability to understand how to use the tools and the incentive to use the tools also come from Krishna. And that is by bhakti process that comes into play. So I hope you understood what I'm trying to tell you all this thing. Why I'm emphasizing, perhaps overemphasizing it. But this is very, very key important. Tools होने के बावजूद अगर आप कुछ पता ही नहीं कि कैसे टूल यूज किया जाए तो उस टूल के मतलब क्या है इसका कोई अर्थ ही नहीं है श्रमयेव केवलम. So you need to learn how to utilize a tool. Even they insist the desire to use your tools. You have the tools, but you don't have the desire. फिर क्या काम कर? Is useless, right? So that also comes through bhakti process. Krishna tells you, gives the sense from inside in our heart that here is utilize this tool. The highlight devotion is the cornerstone of spiritual advancement, suggesting that mere intellectual comprehension or detachment from material entanglements falls short. So mechanically, if you stay away from material pursuits, it's also not going to help you. Because it's like spring, usko tum dabao, it's going to recall back again after a while. It emphasizes the critical importance of sincere devotion. So devotion cannot be overemphasized. At every step of the way, we need this bhakti process. Every step of the way, we need to chant Hare Krishna. All the time, we need to utilize sadhu sangha. Synergy. What I explained to you before also, what is synergy? Simple way to understand synergy means 1 plus 1 is not 2, is greater than 2. That is synergy can be explained in simplest term. It gives the result of two individual components you have. If you combine that, it gives the result of the more than 2. So synergy of what? Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti, all these things, 3. So Vedic knowledge, and I told you before also, there are 3 ways you can write. Jnanis pursue Jnana, Jnanis pursue through Jnana, Brahman realization. Yogis, Ashtanga yogis, utilize to control their senses and the mind, and they worship Paramatma, where the devotees worship Bhagavan, full realization. So Vedic teachings reveal that through the triad means triangular, of knowledge, yoga, and bhakti, all 3 can be utilized, but each has a particular destination. Knowledge alone will take you to a certain point, not beyond that. Ashtanga yoga also will give you some point, but ultimately you must come to samadhi level, to visualize Lord Shri Krishna, and then can ascend towards the supreme. Ultimately, we must come to Bhagavan realization, Bhagavan's full potency, the 6 aspects of Shri Krishna. This advocates a holistic approach. What is holistic approach? All positive and negative things are all combined together and make the best of it. Approach to spirituality where diverse paths converge towards the divine. Everything must ultimately lead us to the Supreme Lord, underscoring the value of each discipline. So we need this jnana. We need certain sense control elements which yoga gives, that pranayam, all these things, they do have a positive value to it. Okay. And if you follow that, it'll keep helping you. Underscore, but that's not the whole thing that you have to understand. Ultimately, everything must ultimately connect with the bhakti platform. So jnana, ashtanga yoga, and bhakti, these three are further delineated. So knowledge, this path leads to understanding of Brahman. Through knowledge potency only, but Brahman to properly and ultimately we need Bhagavan Krishna's mercy. Because buddhi is there, you're utilizing it. But the right way of utilizing it, that sense comes through bhakti process, characterized by external existence and consciousness. So consciousness also comes life air, Radha Vinod Prabhuji. How do you expect consciousness? You need to be conscious, fully aware what you need to do. For that, you need life air, not for just living, but it is much more than living. Life air gives much more than living. Such realization reveals the underlying unity of all existence and profound reality. I'm reading now, emphasizing certain words for you to pay attention to it. That transcends the material forms. So material consciousness is there. We need to transcend that. And we need to make effort, live effort we have to make. Live effort made through rendering bhakti process. Ashtanga yoga is this whole thing, right? Initially, through this pranayama, sitting posture, you control your mind. Mind control is required, right? And later on, when we do Bhikshu Gita, you'll understand much more there. Much deeper, we'll go into that in Bhikshu Gita, you know. So Ashtanga yoga is like that. Initially, through pranayama, sitting posture, and all these things, you control your mind and the senses. Then you need to bring your consciousness inward in the heart to Paramatma. So Paramatma realization is the goal for the yogis. Then bhakti, engaging bhakti nurtures a direct personal relationship with Bhagavan. And my whole scientific hypothesis, epigenetics, is there. I develop precisely understand how bhakti help us to connect with the Supreme. So there's a triangular communication. In triangle is there, and the apex is the wheel, living soul. On the left side is the Supreme Brahman, and the Paramatma, Bhagavan, and the right hand side of the triangle is the Prakriti, is three gunas. Ultimately, Prakriti gunas through which we need to do that, but we cannot do that. Lord employs the Prakriti gunas to fulfill what we desire. Initially, we may have material desires. Depending on our karmic bondage, He will make us realize that through the agency of the Prakriti. Okay? But when we come to Bhakti platform, Lord will very gladly remove those three gunas of Prakriti. And Prakriti is Sattva Guna, pure mode of goodness, will utilize and come to Him. He, instead of Paramatma, Krishna himself takes full charge of our heart. And his internal potency is working for us. Eternity, bhakti starts, never ends. Then Samaved Shakti gives the Tattva Vijnana, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana. So bhakti nurtures a direct personal relationship with Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, often represented as Shri Krishna or Mahavishnu. Through sincere devotion, one engages with the Supreme's personal attribute, divine love and mercy, creating a deeply fulfilling spiritual bond. So we need to form a bond. We need to bond, bonding होना बहुत जरूरी है. भगवान के थ्रू हमें बॉन्डिंग करना जरूरी है। जैसे कि एक छोटा बच्चा जन्म लेता है तो माँ के साथ पहला बॉन्डिंग होती है, फिर पिता के साथ होती है बाद में, पहला माँ, यू नो। तो हमें भी भगवान के साथ बॉन्डिंग करना जरूरी है, बहुत जरूरी है। अब बॉन्डिंग कब होगी? जब भगवान के गुणगान पहले सुनेंगे, देन फिर अट्रैक्शन होगा भगवान के तरफ कि भगवान इतने सारे गुण हैं, भगवान ये सब कर सकते हैं, ये कैसे होता है, ये सब सीखना जरूरी है। एंड फिर ऑटोमेटिकली डेवलप लव फॉर हिम, attraction, you know. Conclusion together, just all these different points, these practices empower individuals to advance towards a holistic understanding of the absolute truth in three forms: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, embracing its diverse dimensions and deepening their spiritual journey. So that's how we make progress. So bhakti is the key that opens up the lock of everything. The unconquerable Lord, भगवान भक्त के अधीन हो जाते, पराधीन हो जाते हैं. He takes a subordinate role to his devotees. He is that merciful. So this revised overview powerfully encapsulates this commentary's rich philosophical insights while underscoring the essential scriptural foundations that illuminate the teachings on Mahavishnu and the nature of illusion. भगवान विष्णु और उनकी माया को भी समझना बहुत जरूरी है. How Maya works, how Maya conditions us, and learn the weak spots of Maya. Maya completely gives up when we turn our face towards Krishna. On our own, we cannot do that. Eternal attributes of the Supreme. The commentary draws upon various Upanishads to illuminate the Lord's eternal quality. So as we keep going now onwards, next week onwards, now we are reading actually each Shruti, in each verses, 28 Shrutis are there. Now I divided 28 Shrutis into these 4 groups of verses, beginning with verse 14 onwards. Scriptural affirmation of the Supreme's omnipresence. So in that Shrutis, some of the verses I'll point out to you, where Shruti themselves is saying how impersonal Brahman can also be understood. And they themselves are rising when they're glorifying the Lord Mahavishnu. They are coming to the Bhakti platform, Bhagavan platform, they're coming ultimately. So all these verses Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes, actually cites, and all these things from Shrutis, Upanishads. And I just, in this table, I've given you what is the central point that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur pointing out from each Upanishads. The like Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad describe the absolute truth as Satchit Ananda. Sweta Svatara Upanishad discusses the Supreme Lord's hidden presence in all beings. So he is Sarvavyapi, all, everywhere, as Paramatma. Mundaka Upanishad highlights the wisdom and knowledge inherent in the Supreme. Aitreya Upanishad affirms the Lord's dynamic involvement in creation. So it's one so beautiful, wonderful. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has taken great pain going through all these Vedas and Upanishads to actually quote what he's saying, directly backed up with the scriptural evidence. Okay, here the unity of existence, the perceivable world is just a collection of individual entities. It's fundamentally unified with the Supreme Brahman, the profound interconnected. So everything is interconnected. Nothing is separate. We are all connected with the Supreme actually, but we need to realize and we need to act in that consciousness. The analogy of clay. From clay, things are made, right? The clay does not disappear. clay serves as a powerful illustration. How? Though it can take in various forms like parts, statues, and so on like that, the essence of clay itself remains unchanged. This perfectly mirrors the nature of the Supreme Brahman, emphasizing its eternal, alternate state. So Brahman is there all the time in different. So we need to understand that. Supreme versus demigod. So that also you all know that demigod worship should not be there. They are, of course, don't disrespect. Demigods are very pious souls. They are by and large in the mode of goodness, and they are great servants of the Supreme Lord. They are appointed by the Supreme Lord to administer the universe. So you need to respect for that, okay? But they are not supreme. They are the servants of the Supreme. The nature of transformation. The commentary asserts that while Lord Vishnu is the origin of all creation, he himself remains impervious to change or transformation. So everything is changes, not himself. This underscores the stark distinction between the divine nature and the transient material world. Material world undergoes changes, and by the agency of the Supreme Lord. At every step of the way, Paramatma is required. The prayer of Gajendras is quoted there too. Serves as a compelling evidence, reinforcing the concept of Lord Vishnu as the unchanging source from which all creation flows. Okay, this is material nature versus spiritual nature. That also you are well aware of difference. Focus of worship. The commentary powerfully advocates for directing our worship and meditation towards the Supreme Lord rather than towards demigods. So we need to properly understand demigods are the servants of the Supreme Lord. So we need to respect them, but not in the sense that they are supreme. Conclusion. The commentary compellingly underscores the necessity of recognizing the Supreme Brahman as the foundation of all creation, while also addressing the prevalent misinterpretation of the demigods. Demigods they don't create cosmic manifestation. They just help always after being empowered by the Supreme Lord to run the administration of the universe. Okay, verse 16 now. Nectared ocean of topics about Sri Krishna. So now coming to Krishna, of course, in Mahavishnu and Krishna, here the Vedas, Shrutis are actually praying to Mahavishnu. Okay, but you need to understand Mahavishnu is an expansion of Sri Krishna. So ultimately, it's coming to Krishna. Immersing oneself in the rich discussion, the devotional practices centered around Krishna serve as the vital source of spiritual sustenance that cleanses the devotee of all forms of material impurities. So only bhakti process, the worst elements of Rajaguna and Tamaguna, they are going to be neutralized. First, we come to material mode of goodness, then ultimately pure mode of goodness. And for that, we need to constantly serve the Lord, chanting the holy name, keep your association with the devotees, satsanga, avoid asatsanga, always hear Krishna's supreme pastimes, that keeps you in the mode of goodness. As long as you are in the association of the company of the devotees, and as long as you are hearing Bhagavatam, Maya has no jurisdiction on us. But the moment we leave that, Maya immediately catches us unprepared. Abandoning austerities. So austerities are required when we are on the practicing stage, sadhana stage. But when you come to that advanced level, then ordinary things that are required, they are no more required for those people. That's what is mentioned in this paragraph. Advanced devotees rise above. But for us, sadhakas, the devotee practitioners, we need to follow all these things, okay? Transcending material misery. Now, here also, later on, we are in Canto 11, we are going to learn that misery, material misery also gives us some learning good lessons. Material, believe it or not, but material misery, suffering actually help us in moving forward in the bhakti process. The whole things I wrote about it that you will come across when we discuss Canto 11. Kunti Mata's example, you all know about it. You know? Because when we are in difficulties, then we tend to worship Shri Krishna. We remember him, you know. And we remember him, that means we don't need to come back again. So material miseries, they lead us to make progress in the bhakti platform. When we are enjoying everything is working fine, then we don't remember Krishna. And that's what Prakriti's three gunas does that. They bring us a lot of allurements, attractions, so that we get carried away. We get carried away from bhakti platform. So that's what you need to watch out. Recognition of Krishna as the Supreme Lord. That also I don't need to remind all of you. You are far advanced than that. Devotion versus material existence. So now this is all verse 17 is what I've just told you. It's a repetition of things like that, you know. And this is all in 4 verses. The outline, everything is summarized in one single slide. It looks complicated, but everything in that I put it in single slide. Everything, all the slides that you saw is right there. And it's only 14, 15, 16, 17 on, right? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Again, the same kind of slide will be there. I already uploaded that slide also. Very good. By the way, again, I'm going to modify all these slides, okay? As I keep reading more and more and more I utilize, um, uh, internalize Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So I recommend highly try to read the commentaries of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It'll help you understand what we are going to be discussing down the line. Haribol. Sorry, I took more time. But these lessons are not easy to conduct. Hare Krishna. So it's open for question, discussion. So now you understood how the impersonal Brahman can be understood through the Vedas. How? Krishna has given us the tools. We need to utilize the tool in the right way. Mana, Buddhi, Indriya, and Prana. They are given for this purpose, these tools. And we need to utilize for that purpose. And that too also must be coupled by attracting Lord's grace. And that you do it by the transformative capability of the bhakti process. That must go hand in hand. Without bhakti, you cannot make on our own effort. Nothing of anything that we may have is useful. And
So,
bhakti gives so unbelievable, wonderful results. My whole PhD thesis is all about that, the glorification of Prema Bhakti. And how to understand scientifically, that's my goal actually. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, just on that note, so bhakti to understand personal role that is there, to understand also jnana and Ashtanga yoga, right? Reaching to Brahman and
They are
local
all
life purpose.
they are all required part of these tools, but not by themselves. They are nothing. They are the means to come to bhakti platform to facilitate that process. That's all you have to understand. But they are not everything.
So unless until you come to the bhakti platform, you don't understand jnana. That is what the ultimately meaning that.
Exactly. The
Okay.
jnana is required for to understand Krishna,
Mm,
not just for intellectual capability.
mm,
You develop intellectual capability, but for what purpose? You don't have to. Don't forget that ultimate use for that. They are given for you to understand Krishna.
mm,
That that abilities that Krishna has given to me, doing all this PowerPoint and everything that you so admire. I'm not doing it for my glorification. That is meant to serve the Lord's mission. I consider it as Lord's mission what I'm doing.
yeah.
And you're all helping me in that. So that point has to be remembered. Nothing is of our own. Everything is being given to us. And that humility is the prime factor to move forward on the path of bhakti. Never ever, Brahmaji, before creation, he was worried about that. If I do such wonderful thing, I may become proud. So he took a promise from Krishna that I will please do me a favor, make sure I never get proud of my creation, secondary creation, Visarga. All the tools were prepared for him in Sarga, the direct Sarga that Krishna, Mahavishnu created, all the ingredients were already prepared by Mahavishnu. He put together, and the intelligence was also given to him. He himself was created for that purpose. But still, Brahmaji was worried that he become too proud. So he prays. So that we need to pray all the time. Some wonderful thing Krishna may allow us to do. But that, once you become proud of it, oh, everything is done by me, by my intelligence, by my smartness, that's the beginning of downfall. Hare Krishna. Anything more?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Dhanavad Pranam, Mataji.
Such a beautiful class, Prabhuji. All glories to you. Prabhuji, so basically, bhakti, devotional service is the best key to open all the locks
Exactly.
for
You got it.
Bhagwan realization. So
Yeah.
now, this devotional service only will help us to overcome the three modes of material nature.
That's the beginning thing. But even if you pass that, to keep moving forward on bhakti platform, there also we need grace of the Lord. Sri Radharani's mercy is required. The Manjari gurus must be all the time there that we learn in Radha Tattva, remember? So
Yes,
bhakti,
Prabhuji, but
yeah,
this process of transcending the three modes of material nature,
that's
because
the
we
beginning
are
process.
conditioned, beginning process, and because we are very conditioned, it is a gradual process, right?
Yes, of course, it is gradual process. But once we come to bhakti platform and we stay in the bhakti and we develop that kind of consciousness, then Krishna will protect us, move forward. But having achieved coming to the mode of goodness platform, don't think your job is done. Job is not done. That's just the beginning of the process actually. It's easy to come to bhakti platform, but to keep moving on an advanced level, that's a very challenging aspect of the bhakti.
Keep moving is the most challenging.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Keep moving forward.
प्रभु जी, यहाँ पे हमें ये ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि हमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा सत्वगुण में रहने की कोशिश करनी पड़ेगी, तो हम
Exactly.
आगे बढ़ेंगे। क्योंकि अगर फिर वापस हम नीचे चले जाएंगे तो बहुत स्ट्रगल होगी। तो वी हैव टू ट्राई कि हमें सत्वगुण में ज्यादा से ज्यादा रहना, ज्यादा से ज्यादा
अच्छा, ये
भक्ति से
कैसे
जुड़े रहना।
कैसे रह सकते हैं? सत्वगुण में कैसे रह सकते हैं?
आहार शुद्ध, सत्व शुद्धि।
No, that's just the side elements.
हम
Keep
अगर फिर भी
chanting,
आहार अपने
keep
शरीर पे
chanting,
बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है।
keep chanting, keep hearing about his pastimes.
यस प्रभु जी।
Listen to Bhagavatam Seva. Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Slok hai. You know,
यस प्रभु जी।
and the devotee association. That keeps us moving forward.
Moving with the bhakti path. Only
Yeah.
then we.
वो आसान बात नहीं है, इतना
that
डिफिकल्ट
is
लाइफ लिए तो
difficult.
साधु संग, दूसरे डिवोटी के संग बहुत जरूरी है। वो दूसरे डिवोटी हमें हेल्प करते हैं कि स्टे फिक्स्ड ऑन अवर रोड, डोंट गेट साइड ट्रैक्ड।
Yes, Vaiji. Very true.
यस प्रभु जी, वेरी ट्रू।
तो आज बात कुछ समझ में आई? हमने जो आज कुछ कहा हो, हरि बोल।
यस
वो
प्रभु जी, वी हैव
हरे
ट्राइड।
कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
the key was the verse 2. वो समझ में आई बात? verse 2
Yes,
पूरी
Prabhu,
तरह
yes. And
समझ
यस प्रभु
नहीं
जी।
आया भाई जी, क्या आपने
वो
क्या
बुद्धि
पूछा आप?
किस लिए हमें दी गई है, कैसे यूज की जाती है, वो समझ में आई
बहुत
बात?
यस
प्रभु जी, इन वर्ड बुद्धि, मन, प्राण और इंद्रिय को हमें सही उपयोग करना है बस।
यस,
ये शरीर का हमें सही उपयोग करना है
या वो किस
भक्ति
लिए
में,
हमें दी गई है, किस लिए हमें दी गई, भगवान की इंस्ट्रक्शन है, वो समझ पाने के लिए दी गई
समझ
है।
पाए। यस प्रभु जी।
तो भगवान के इंस्ट्रक्शन वेदस में है। वेदस मतलब कि और भक्त के लिए भागवतम, भागवतम का बहुत अच्छी तरह से डीपली समझना चाहिए हमें। ये एडवांस भागवतम हम कर रहे हैं, इसीलिए ये थर्ड टाइम आई एम कंडक्टिंग ऑल दिस एंटायर भागवतम। ट्वाइस आई डन दैट। All 12 cantos were done twice before. हरे कृष्ण। मगर ये सब पूरी एबिलिटी कैसे आती है? भगवान की दया से आती है, अपनी ओर से नहीं आती है। हमारे इंटेलिजेंस कुछ काम का नहीं है, वो टूल्स है। वो टूल्स कैसे यूज करो वो भी वही सिखाते हैं हमें। अच्छा,
हरे कृष्ण
time
प्रभु जी।
is getting up now, so I can see Sanjeev Prabhu is getting up time now. Let's wrap it up.
No, Prabhuji. So yes, wonderful class, and you've done it twice. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. So this reminds me of that shloka, right? Which you always chant. Swayam eva spurati yada. I don't recollect the first part, but we are being given the tools. If we engage in bhakti, then he also automatically gives the intelligence to leverage
Yeah.
that. So I think that is
And he protects what we remember. वो
Tarami
श्लोक,
buddhi.
वो वर्ष है ना भागवतम में, कि whatever we have he protects, and whatever he gives, whatever we lack.
Yes.
What is that
Oh,
verse? Rakshamata ji, what's that verse?
Yeah.
Very famous verse. Rakshamata ji, he protects what we
अनन्य
have.
चिन्तयो मां ये जना
He protects-
पर्युपासते तेषां नित्ययुक्तानां योगक्षेम वहाम्यहम्।
Very good. योगक्षेमं वहामि हम। So भगवान हमारी भक्ति की रक्षा वही करते हैं, मगर हमें इच्छा होनी चाहिए। हमारी डिजायर क्या है वो उन्हें बतानी चाहिए, वो सुनना चाहते हैं। अच्छा, रक्षावती, कैन यू डू द ब्लेसिंग ऑफ प्रेयर?
यस प्रभु जी, यस प्रभु। हरे कृष्णा। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। सो वंडरफुल क्लास प्रभु जी। धीरे धीरे
Thank
हम
you.
अच्छे से समझ सके, बस आपकी कृपा से। हरे कृष्णा।
बहुत सारी बात से लिमिटेड टाइम में बतानी पड़ती है ना, वही चैलेंज वो है।
हाँ प्रभु जी, सही बात है।
हाँ, चाहिए।
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय, नमस्ते नरसिंहाय, सनातनाय प्रहलाददायिने प्रहलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शीलटङ्कानखालाहे शीलटङ्कानखालाहे इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे अद्भुत शृङ्गार ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय हो नरसिंहदेव 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 जय हो नरसिंहदेव जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय हो भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय हो श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो सर्व डिवोटी की जय हो प्रभुपाद की जय हो हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे थैंक यू प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम फॉर सो वंडरफुल क्लास थैंक यू
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Chandra Bhai.
So
Thank you,
wonderful
Chandra Bhai.
session.
Wonderful
Thank you.
class.
It's
Thank
so
you
difficult,
for
Prabhuji.
enlightening us.
So wonderful session. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
And we are meeting tomorrow, Prabhuji, not next week. So we still have one more day. So we can cover it.
Tomorrow Ekadashi.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Tomorrow is Kartik Utthan Ekadashi.
Yes.
And Krishna Panchati also starting.
Prasad Prabhu, you're back from Vrindavan?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. I'm back from Vrindavan, Prabhu.
तो प्रभु जी आपके
Prabhuji,
दर्शन
it's still raining there.
आपके दर्शन
Hare
मात्र
Krishna,
अमिताभ
Prabhu.
के दर्शन हो जाते हैं
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So wonderful, so heavy session, so difficult class, Prabhu. So thank you very much, Prabhu.
हरि बोल चलिए
Hari bol, Hari bol.
हरि बोल
Hari Bol. Bye.